So I've used the Quest Pro controllers for about a month now. I decided to get them about a year ago because the tracking on my Quest 3 controllers using claw grip was just not cutting it, but I have never fully given them a try until now. Anyways, here's my experience with the Quest Pro controllers. First off, let's talk about the ergonomics. If you're coming from the Quest 2 controllers, the Pro controllers will feel much better in the hands. The shape of the Pro controllers, especially in the thumb rest area, is much better than the Quest 2. I honestly have no idea how people deal with the Quest 2 thumb rest, since it puts too much pressure on the spot below my thumb. Additionally, the weight distribution is more balanced on the Pro controllers, whereas the Quest 2 controllers are more top heavy. This makes moving the controllers with your wrists much more pleasant and less likely to fly out and crash into a window or TV if you are a pretty daring individual that uses no wrist straps.
He did?
If you're coming from the Quest 3 controllers, the Pro controllers are basically the same shape. You will, however, notice a difference in the weight. Quest Pro controllers are heavier by around 30 to 40 grams, which is either good or bad depending on whether you prefer heavier or lighter controllers. I used to be on the side of lighter controllers, but after my experience with headsets with heavier controllers, the Quest Pro controllers felt alright to me. Just keep in mind that switching from lighter to heavier controllers will make speed maps a bit more difficult until you get used to them.
BPM.
The material of the controllers is composed of a smooth plastic material on the front and some grippy material on the back. Having a grippy material feels quite nice, especially for a controller that is going to be moving around a lot. Although the main problem I have with this is that it tends to attract a lot of dirt and grease, which I haven't found a way to get rid of. For the battery, the site VR Compare estimates the Pro controllers to have 8 hours of battery life, which is plenty of time for a rechargeable controller, especially when the headset it's connected to barely lasts 2 hours. During my month of using the controllers, I've probably only had to charge them about 2 or 3 times, although my play sessions were about 30 minutes to an hour a day. The included charging dock is alright, although placing the controllers on a dock can be a bit finicky at times. I kinda wish that the cable connecting the dock to the charging brick was a bit longer, or that the cable could be swapped, because even though Meta designed the cable to disconnect at the charging brick, they forgot to make it disconnect at the dock for some odd reason. Also, make sure that you do not lose or break the dock, as buying a new one costs a pretty small sum of $80. I have no idea why Meta decides to price their cables so high. At least it does come with the charger, I guess. If you're the type of person on Quest 3 that wants to use a grip other than default or something similar to default, you'll probably have a better experience using that grip on these controllers, since it's only 3 relatively small dots, aka the cameras, is doing the tracking instead of the whole face of the controller. Although when I did claw grip, the way I holded it blocked at least one of the cameras, so your mileage may vary. I still feel like the Quest 2 supports the most grip types, since it uses the rings for tracking instead. Speaking of tracking, let's talk about the main selling point about these controllers, its self-tracking capabilities. Since the controller is now self-tracked, issues regarding controllers jumping when moving from a place out of view, such as swinging up from your waist, are basically gone. You can rest easy knowing that you won't underswing on that one down note on that one ACK map just because you weren't looking down far enough, or that your controller was blocked. However, that's the only real noticeable tracking improvement that I've seen with these controllers. These controllers being self-tracked doesn't actually change all that much compared to the stock controllers, and it actually adds some drawbacks. For one, when you turn on your headset, the controllers will take an extra 30 seconds to wake up and start tracking. That is, if they actually do decide to start tracking. Half of the time, one or both of the controllers will decide that right now is not a good time and won't start tracking at all. You don't get any warning or anything for this, so you have to guess whether you should wait a bit or sleep and wake the headset again so the controllers can start waking up again. This may not seem like that big of a deal, but consider that you are going to be taking off and putting on the headset hundreds of times during its life cycle, and you will face this startup sequence every single time. Of course, this is not an issue on stock controllers, since all they have to do is just turn their lights on and let the headset do all the work. If you play for long sessions, which I did for streaming, the Pro controllers have a little problem called overheating. After a bit of time, I'll usually get a warning saying that either my left or my right controller is overheating and will shut down in 30 minutes. And of course, when I keep playing, they do shut down after 30 minutes. Kinda annoying when you want to play a game and suddenly you have to stop because your controller is just getting a little too spicy. On some occasions, mainly during fast movements over an extended time, my left controller will decide that my hand isn't actually where my hand is and slowly start drifting away, although it never seems to drift super far. However, as soon as it's thinking my hand is in a different position, it will stay that way until I restart the controller or sleep and wake the headset. Since it's mainly my left controller that does that, it's probably an issue with just my batch, but I would probably still take note of this problem. Over Quest Link, the Pro controllers seem to have more swing bug compared to the stock controllers. I have no idea why that is. So, with all that being said, should you get the Quest Pro controllers? Well, considering the fact that they are currently $250, almost the price of a Quest 3S at $300. Side note, as of writing this video, there is currently a sale for the 3S with $270 for 128 gigs and $350 for 256 until June 16th, which makes the Quest Pro controller price look even more funny. You most likely should not buy these controllers. Even though they are self-tracked, they ultimately do not provide much of a benefit compared to using stock controllers, apart from reaching behind your back or around your waist, and in some cases provide even worse experience. If you have a lot of money to burn, or you are absolutely positively 100% sure that your current controller's tracking is not good at all, and you believe that the Pro controllers with its issues are still better than your current config, then by all means buy it. I just can't justify getting these controllers at such a high price. Maybe get them used or something if you really want them. Anyways, thanks for watching my review. This is now the second review I've done, and there's still a ton of ways I can improve. So if you feel like I've missed something that I should have talked about or would like to know more of, let me know down in the comments. Alright, that's it from me. Bye bye.